I am Vinnie Tortorich, folks. Your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed, just like the woman on the other mic. That's right. She's been coming in here every now and again on Wednesday, and we have her for a couple of weeks in a row. Folks, I'm talking about the beautiful Miss Teresa Strasser. Yeah.
Thank you for having me back on your show.
The wonders of technology. And I don't know how to make it. Anyway, we were playing Blue Jean Blues by ZZ Top.
I know
Yeah,
Bell Bottom Blues by Eric Clapton,
yeah, whole different song, different group, different
but
group.
still, I mean, you got Denim, you got Sadness, you got A Flared Leg. There's some overlap there.
Yeah, there's a lot because bell bottoms were always in the '60s. They were at first they were all bell bottom blue jeans. You're too young to know this, but then some hipsters got into like bell bottom, and the pants were plaid.
Mhm.
I don't know if you ever saw that. You can find, and then people got into something called a leisure suit. And those came also in bell bottoms.
Okay, have I seen,
Yeah,
like, Joe Namath in a leisure suit?
probably. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
OJ?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody, it was the thing, right? It was the thing as big as women wearing shoulder pads in 1982.
Ugh,
The
now they're
same
back.
kind of thing. You
I
know,
like your hat, by the way.
this hat is a sacred hat.
Tell me.
Um, I only have this one hat. This one. This hat was one of the giveaways when we did Fata documentary. We didn't know each other at the time. We crowdfunded that movie, and I was asking for $100,000. And you probably don't know this either. I did not want to do the movie. I didn't think I was capable of doing a documentary. So when Peter Pardini said, "Oh yeah, we could do this thing," and I said, "Peter, I'm not putting my own money up because this is going to fail. It's going to fail miserably." And Adam Carolla was telling me, and I called Mike August, and all these guys were going. It cost at least $500,000 to do a documentary, and don't expect to ever see the money back. And it's like, well, okay. And then I had a separate conversation with Adam, and I told him what I wanted to do and the whole thing. He goes, you could probably do that for around 300, 250, 300. And Peter was saying, look, I'll put my work in for free and make something on the back end, and I'll do this and that and the whole thing. And he said, let's see if we can get 100,000 up front to get the thing rolling. One of the perks was this hat. So they had different levels. If you gave like $5, your name was at the end of the movie. So we have like literally 20,000 names when the credits roll at the end. Like 5 lines across of everyone's names, of all the producer credits of everyone that gave $5 or $10. Or I think 15 was the smallest amount you can give. And then if you gave like $100, you got this hat. And we sold a lot of these hats for $100. And then the next thing up was the signed conch shell. So you would have an actual conch shell sent to you, signed by me. And you got that for like $250. Now,
Okay,
do
this
you
is
notice?
this is fascinating because I've just read Lord of the Flies. I've
Hmm.
reread it because my kids are both reading it in school, and of course, the conch shell, when you pass it around, that's who gets to speak in the meeting. Why was the conch shell your giveaway?
Okay, so you see, that's why the audience loves you, Teresa, because you don't know anything about me. So you don't know about me and the conch shell, do you?
I don't. All I know
Instead
about
of telling
you
you,
all I know about you, I learned in the parking lot of Gina Grad's wedding. That's it.
yeah, you and I had a love affair for what, about 45 minutes one night?
Mhm, mhm.
And I thought you were going to hate me. I think we've talked about that. It's like this woman is a vegetarian or a vegan, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with me. And we started having a conversation, and it's one of those things where you just say to yourself, you know what? I shouldn't have judged this woman because if I lived near her, we would be friends,
We would
right?
be.
At least I feel that way. I
Well,
don't know
I
how you
feel like
feel.
we both love romantic comedies.
Yes.
Perhaps you would expect that of me. It's unexpected from you. We both love 80s movies. We both love documentaries. In fact, I thought of you recently because did we ever talk about jail I think it's called Love on the Run, Jailbreak?
No, is that the one where the woman busted her boyfriend out
Yes.
of jail?
I'm obsessed with it.
Really? Is that on Netflix? I saw it and I went, yeah, I got to come. But that's something I would watch with Serena. We watch those together.
Watch that with Serena and then let me know what you think because I'm obsessed with it and I need to know if you think that they were really in love, the guard and the prisoner. There was like an 18-year age difference. He was much younger. But I mean, I have my thoughts and feelings, but I don't want to prejudice you guys.
Okay, yeah, we're going to watch that one soon. But that's a Vinny and Serena together thing. I'm not allowed to watch those on my own because that's something we do together.
Fair.
Um, I can't believe I'm going through all of these photos of myself to find. Okay, Teresa, I'm gonna just if I don't find it here in a second, I'm gonna have you Google it. Maybe I should
Just
have you Google it.
you and the conch. I
Just put
also is
Vinnie
it conch?
Tortorich.
Conch? I never know how to say it. I've only read the
Yeah,
word.
it's pronounced conch, but some people say conch, which is CH
Conch.
on it. So put Vinnie Tortorich conch into your Google machine and see what pops up. Oh, I actually have photos of me signing the conchs. Here, I'll send you this. I had to sit there and sign literally hundreds of these. This is when we were still living in LA. Teresa, this is, so we have me signing all the conchs.
Okay, wait a second. Were you modeling
It was
this?
it looks like I'm having sex with the conch shell.
Yes,
Did you find it?
I did.
Okay.
What were you modeling?
Those jewelry, it was for a company called Pachetti Di Domice. That photo went around the world. It was in W magazine. It was in you name. I don't know if you know this about me, Teresa, but I had a big career as a model. I'm not kidding about this. I'm not saying it kind of. I had an actual career as a model. Did you know that?
I listen, I know you through the Corolla universe, so I think of you more as a football player turned nutrition guru. I
Well,
did
yeah,
not know about the
I
modeling.
All right, so when I got to LA, I'm going to send you this photo. This is me back in LA back in the day. Did you see the one I sent you with the conch shell?
Okay, I have a number of important questions that I think other people will also be wondering. One, okay,
Okay.
all right. Not how do you get there your abs that way? Because I just feel like that's like genetics and not having body fat. But did you have rituals you did either the day before or the day of when you needed your abs to look like this for a shoot?
Yes. Yes. And maybe that's what we should talk about in this show because it's one of the things that it's not real. One of the reasons I started doing this show was you're not looking at reality. So you've seen me in person. We've been together, and
We were in the parking
I
lot.
I keep myself pretty tight, right? Every now and again, I'll do a photo of myself. I think I took one when I was 60, and there was nothing other than I said, "This is me at 60,"
I just
right?
saw that one online. And yeah, that's an amazing photo. You look
Okay,
basically the same as in the conch shell.
except 60 years old. So genetically, I am not. I'm going to send you a picture of me and my brothers. This is not to go anywhere else. Someone sent me this photo the other day. If you want to see what my genetics are, I'm going to send you a photo that someone sent me the other day. This
Of
is
you with your
last
brothers.
year. Yeah, this is last year at Thanksgiving at my brother Mark's house. So this is not for public consumption.
Okay, this
Okay.
is just for my eyes only. And by the way, I should say that I liked you instantly, and here's why. Because you're a friend of Gina. The
Right.
friends of my friends are my friends, okay? And the enemies of my friends are my enemies. Now, I'm not Italian, but this is something I love about the Italian culture, the concept of the vendetta. If you're
Yeah.
mean to somebody that I love, you're dead to me, and I hope your whole house burns down.
Yeah, and I grew up 100% Italian, and you would be my capo di tutti.
Okay, I got the picture. Can I describe it? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus,
No, you don't have to. Go on.
but these are your three brothers?
There's four of us.
Okay,
That's me and my three brothers. Last year at Thanksgiving.
first of all, I love that you sent this to me. I love that you're so close to your brothers. It's super touching, almost makes me wanna cry. They're all handsome, and they all you look so happy to be together. So it's the 4
Yeah.
of you, but obviously your body type is different, and I was going to chalk up your physique to genetics, but you're right, this disproves that because, yeah, so your brothers are like, one of them is the biggest, like, he's a round guy,
Mm-hmm.
and, like, the other one you might describe as barrel-chested, and the
Mm-hmm.
3rd one yeah, everyone is, I don't think they're doing the what is
NG.
it? No sugar, no grain. I
Yeah.
think they might be eating
Okay.
some grain.
All right. So let me take you through them. You see the
Okay.
guy with the beard?
Yep.
He and I are Irish twins. You know what an Irish twin is?
13 months apart, 12 months apart.
We're born 12 months and 1 week apart.
Wow.
He's 1 year older than me. He and Serena were born 3 days. He and my wife were born 3 days apart. Okay. And then the one in the green shirt, the heaviest one, that's Mark.
Did you play football with Mark?
No, Mark was about 9 years younger than me. He was actually, as you know, I played D1 college football.
I know,
I
he
went to
looks like he
school.
should be on the O-line.
Okay. He was built like the statue of David in high school. He had a better build than me. He was a step faster than me. He was a better athlete than me. And he pretty much said, Mark's lazy athletically. I had to work my ass off in the gym. Mark just showed up, put his beer down, and said, "Hand me the ball," pretty much, and made magic. LSU, Texas University, Ole Miss, Alabama, everybody wanted this kid to play linebacker. Everybody. And he was like, I'm good. Found himself a beer, never looked back. He's not weighed under 300 pounds at all his adult life. He just immediately got fat. He's in that picture, he's probably 330, 340. He's got exactly my frame. If you took all of that away, he's built like me. Hard to believe, isn't it?
You know, I wish you could post this picture because it says a lot for your lifestyle and diet. You guys have the exact same smile. You're the same height. It's clear that you're brothers and that you share genetics, and yet he hasn't been under 300 pounds in his adult life. I'm curious now, is that why you went into this? Like seeing what your brother was going through?
I'll tell you in a second. And the last brother on the end, Frankie, same, he was never a good athlete, but he was a skinny guy, good shape and whole thing. Okay, here's what happened to me. And I've told this story on the podcast before, but it might be worth telling again because people forget what happens, right? And I talked about this in Fitness Confidential, a book you've read. And if you go back through that book, there's a picture of me when I weighed 270 in that book. It's a black and white photo in there. So when I was playing college football, I went maybe 225 and nothing jiggled. My waist was exactly the size it is today. I just had giant legs, and I was a 400-pound bench presser, and I was a 550-pound legit squatter, and I was deadlifting everything you could throw on the bar in the weight room. I was just that guy and worked at it year round. But as soon as I was off of training table, when you're playing D1 ball, there's eggs and bacon and all the good stuff. Now, the defensive backs, most of them African American, these guys don't even walk into the gym. Genetically, they're freaks. They're ripped. They're ripped all the time. I've seen these guys. We had a soft serve machine in our cafeteria for the athletes. I've watched these guys put soft serve on top of waffles and eat it, and they walk around ripped. So when you see these guys in NFL, when you see these guys, oh, he runs 4.340 and the whole thing, that's God given. That is just from heaven. And these guys walk around eating Skittles. I wish I was making this up, right? Guys like me, I was in the gym. After practice, half these guys were drinking beers and smoking pot, and then walk on the field the next day and just run circles around you again. I was not that guy. I had to be in the gym, right? Well, as soon as I was off of training table and still in college, I had to fend for myself. I learned about things called vermicelli pasta. I learned about something called Mahatma rice. I learned about something called ramen noodles, because that's what you can afford when you're broke. I was still working out, Teresa. I was working out like a fiend, and I blew up from 225 to 270 like that. Boom, 270. And I was sitting in Camellia Grill with this little Jewish girl who I love dearly, close friends. We dated around, but we were mostly friends. Her name is Janie. I'm not going to say her last name because she has a high position in a big company. She's been running the universe for years. So Janie and I are sitting there, and I'm eating my hamburger, and I just happened to mention, said, "Yeah, I got to quit putting my Levi's in the dryer." And she goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because I think the dryer's shrinking them up." And she smirked into her milkshake, and she goes, "Oh, sweetie, you're getting fat." And I went, "Wait, hang on." And I did one of these, double bicep things.
Right, sure.
I said, "Come on, Janie, look at this. Look at these guns." She was like, "Oh, you're still strong because we used to work out together, but you're getting fat." It did not occur to me. That's why when people go, "Do fat people know they're getting fat?" No, they don't. Because I was into being, fit and strong and everything. I never looked in the mirror. I only had a mirror in my bathroom that showed my face I could shave.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a mirror guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's sort of like the frog in boiling water. It's happening gradually.
It's just happening. And I didn't say a word until I went, because you see, when your thighs are 33, 34 inches and your ass is, big, you buy bigger Levi's anywhere and you just cinch them up, right?
Right.
Now, I'm now filling out the Levi's. I don't have to cinch them anymore, right? And now they're not even buttoning. I can't get them buttoned. And that happened in no time.
Well, you were
So,
having your ramen and your vermicelli. But it's funny
yeah.
because in the 80s, I feel like athletes were all about pasta. Like if you were running a marathon or a race or participating in a triathlon, you'd carbo load. That was a phrase.
All right. So hang on to that thought. We're going to get there. This might be the best podcast I've ever done. Hang on to that phrase, jot it down. We're coming back to carbo
We're
loading.
coming back to it. I'm putting a pin in it.
So I went home that night. And at the time, I was bouncing for a living. That's right. I was like Dalton, I was a cooler. I worked at two clubs. I would take an early shift at a place called Studebaker's. And I would always take that early shift because they would do after work, happy hour. So there was stuff I can eat for free while I was making money. And then I worked for the mafioso, for the Marcello family, the ones that killed Kennedy. They had a bunch of bars, Linfants, 4141, all these late night discos in New Orleans. I would change out of my zoot suit for Studebakers, put on a tux, and I would go work the door at Linfants and 4141. Anyone living in New Orleans back in the 80s, I was the guy at that door. And I worked every night, made a lot of money. Matter of fact, did a little collecting. Not proud of it.
Hold on. Did you have to stop? Did you have to break up any fights?
Yeah. But in the finer clubs, it doesn't happen that often. You can usually get, like, if a girl's being bothered, a woman's being bothered, you can usually, you know, you don't want to, late, like because New Orleans stays open all night. The bad stuff wouldn't happen until 3, 4 in the morning when the real drunks are still left in the disco. And then you would have to go to work. And you would just look at the bartender. They would throw you one of those ice things, those metal things. So you had a weapon to go with. Yeah. Yeah. That was my life. That was my job. So I was doing that, eating, getting fat, but I was still strong and everything. Anyway, I was getting ready to go to Studebakers, went home, took a shower, and shaved. And I remember the apartment I lived in, the people before me left one of those full length mirrors inside of, you close the door and to the closet, you opened it up and it was a full length mirror,
Yep.
right? And I stood in that mirror naked and I looked at myself forward. And for the first time, I looked at my body and I didn't try to suck anything in. I saw the gut. I could see the big chest. I could see the big shoulders and the arms and the legs. But my legs, like, some of the definition was gone. And I had this big fat waist, right? I started looking like some of the linemen on the team. I didn't look like a linebacker anymore. And then I turned to the side and I saw the gut. I even tried to suck it in, and you couldn't suck that in. And then I looked back in the mirror and I pointed at my face in the mirror and I said, "This stops right now." That was the beginning of the end of me being fat.
I had no idea that this was the origin story. The
Yeah.
man in the mirror, the come to Jesus moment with your Janie letting you know you were getting big, and your Levi's had also been giving you feedback, but you refused to see it because you were
We
enjoying the
make up.
vermicelli.
And I think that's part of the problem with today's world. We don't have Levi's anymore. Everybody's wearing stretchy clothes and clothes, sweats and everything else. It just keeps going with you. A fish, you put a fish in a 10-gallon aquarium, they only grow to a certain size. If you change it to a 20-gallon aquarium, they'll get a little bigger, right? A fish
So
will grow to the
interesting.
size of what they're in. You never find a whale in the lake. They're in the ocean, right?
Why isn't that on a hat?
I don't have enough room to put that on the hat, Teresa. You see what I'm saying? If your clothes keeps expanding with you, you don't see the truth. And next time you go to the store, what do you just buy the next size up, right?
Oh,
XXXXL. Yeah,
the 501s were very unforgiving. The Levi's that we all wore, there was no
yeah,
stretch.
yeah. Guess who still wears 501s exclusively?
You trying to keep yourself honest?
Yeah.
Do we even
I,
have time? Sorry for
what?
interrupting you. Do we even have time to get to a news story?
No, this is the story today.
This is it.
This, this is it.
Carbo
I
loading.
don't call them 501s. I call them the truth. They tell you the truth.
They do. I mean, they really give you the instant feedback, and they were back in style. All the models and influencers were wearing like the boyfriend jean with no stretch for a while, but now everything has stretch. You're right. It's going to let you gain 7 pounds without really having to admit it to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you heard of a
So
jegging?
Yeah, it's a jean legging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I got a wife that buy all the things. So, um, so that's the beginning, and then I went down this trail, right? I went down this trail of I used to watch my mom try to lose weight every summer. So I went to the store. Folks, if you guys read Fitness Confidential, it's all in the book. I went to the store, the drugstore. They had magazine racks. That was Google back in the day. It was called a magazine rack. I bought Self magazine. I bought Shape. I bought 3 or 4 women's magazines because all of them said lose 20 pounds by Friday. You could get your beach body by the weekend, rock hard abs by next Thursday. All these things on the cover. So I brought them home. I had a stack of books and I brought them home at magazines. And I read through all of them. Now, you see, I'm getting a degree in exercise physiology and nutrition. And these magazines are saying the opposite of what I'm learning. Oh, wait a minute. This can't be right. This can't be because I also grew up in a gym and I used to watch these bodybuilders carb up. They would carb up the whole time. And then when it came time for competition, they cut every carb out and just ate high protein and they would rip up. And it's like, well, carbs are the problem. I know this from school. I know this from every, meathead bodybuilder. I've been in this world my entire life. These magazines are telling me to eat 10 small meals a day, drink some extra water. It's just things that just didn't make sense, you know? And so I'm reading all this and I called Janie up because Janie was Jewish and Jewish girls know how to lose weight. A Jewish woman started Weight Watchers. I don't know if you know that. Up in New York or New Jersey or somewhere, she was like, yeah, we're starting this whole thing. So I said, Jamie, you're in that sorority with other Jewish girls, right? She goes, yes, I am. I said, okay. What do you girls do to lose weight? She goes, well, there are 2 ways. One is you you smoke cigarettes and you drink tab,
Yep.
and
I've
and
I've
you
been on
and
that
you
diet.
also and you also take something called Dexatrim.
Yep, I
So I
remember
went,
that
okay.
too.
I said, I'm not gonna smoke, but I can do the other two. So I went out to the same drugstore, K&B, Katz and Best Off. Went back to K&B drugstore right there in Carrollton, and I was longingly looking across at Popeye's fried chicken. But I went into the drugstore, and I got myself some Dexatrim and some Tab. And on my way home, it said take 1 Dexatrim, but I went, I'm 270 pounds, I'm a big dude, I better take 2. So I took 2 and I washed it down with the Tab, which was the most horrific thing I ever put in my mouth. And trust me, I've put some things in my mouth. So I went, oh, this tastes horrible. About 30 minutes later, I'm jumping out of my skin. I'm about to I'm about to commit suicide. So I called Janie back and I said, Janie, I took 2 Dexatrim and a Tab, and my heart's fluttering, I'm jittery, I don't know what to do. I can't keep my hands still. And she says, oh, that's the way you're supposed to feel. I went, okay, this ain't gonna work. So got rid of the Tab, got rid of Dexatrim. I've taken 2 Dexatrim my entire life. They were both taken at the same time. So I went, okay, the magazines, I know they're wrong because that's how I got fat. And then Janie told me about the Diet Coke diet. I said, how does that work? It's like, you just don't eat and you do a lot of cocaine. And it's like,
Mm.
well, I'm not taking a drug, right? I'm 62. I've never taken a drug. I've never smoked pot. So, all right, that's not going to work. I don't even have, even if I wanted to use Coke, I don't have money. I'm working at 2 Italian joints every night just to make ends meet. So I got myself what you might call a conundrum.
Mhm.
So I've always been good with money. And I had money allotted for everything. And I had about $200 allotted for gas money for the year, for the rest of the school year. I took that money and I took $150 of it or so, and I went out and bought a bicycle. And I said, if I need to get anywhere, I'm going on a bicycle. That car is parked for emergency use only because I don't have the gas money. I just spent it. I rode my bike everywhere. And if I wanted to go visit my parents who live 70 miles away down in the swamp, I would have to ride my bike 70 miles. That's how I got into the bicycle thing. All of this happened at the same time. But then something interesting happened. A book came out called Eat to Win, Robert Haas. Robert Haas said that fat burns in the flame of carbohydrates. And the whole world took note, and places like Mezzaluna came around serving pasta for 18 bucks a pop. Everywhere you went, everything was pasta, pasta, eat more pasta. You're going to lose weight because you can't possibly gain weight unless you can't get fat unless you eat fat. That whole era kicked in, right? I was now losing weight doing my thing, but every time I joined a race to go run a 5K, 10K turkey trots, all this kind of stuff, everything was you need to carb up. You need to carb up. So when I was running races, I would carb up and then immediately stop again afterwards. They were telling us stuff like this, Teresa. They were saying, in order to really do well, stop eating carbs. Like if the race is on Saturday, stop eating carbs on Tuesday and really starve yourself of carbs until Friday. And then somehow miraculously, your body was going to supersaturate itself with all the carbs you were going to eat on Friday, and you would be superhuman on Saturday. I tried it all. I've done it all. That's why I know what I'm talking about. I've done every bit of it. Every bit of it. Right?
So when you were
That's how I
carbo loading, did you feel sluggish when you were running the next day and wonder, like, why is everybody telling me to do this? I don't feel supercharged to run.
I didn't feel sluggish, but I would wake up that morning and I would have to shit like it was hippo flop, right? Because all I did was eat pasta and rice and yams from 4 o'clock on the day before. Now you got all this fiber that needs to come out. And I noticed that every race, there were lines at the porta potties of everyone else that had hippo flop coming out of their bodies.
Sure.
So I'm like looking at that going, that ain't right.
Carbo load, it has load right in the name.
Yeah, you're loading up. So it's like, why am I eating high protein and I know fat is our preferred fuel. Why am I doing that? Right. And of course, Atkins had been out in the 70s, and I read his book. That made more sense to me. And the way I was losing weight was by not eating carbohydrates. And that's when I adopted the whole thing.
It's
Right.
just it's
That
just
was
I feel like if you've been around long enough, you remember when we were all terrified of fat and we ate Snackwells and drank Tab and Canfield's diet chocolate soda, and like sugar was like, oh, it should be a treat, but nobody was really worried about it. It's crazy to think now that we know sugar is causing so many metabolic disorders, and people are like, have some walnuts, have some salmon. Fat's good for you. Fat's not making you fat. Sugar's making you fat.
Yeah. And when I was yelling about that back in 91, when I finally got to LA and went to Disney and went to Nickelodeon, and they were all into me, children's fitness. That's why I went out there, was to do children's fitness. And when I would say to them, yeah, we need to get kids off of all this sugar, they would just laugh me out of the building. It's like, who do you think our sponsors are, idiot? We can't have you in there doing that. Right. And there you have it. That's the story of how we got fat as a nation. I literally watched it over my career. I watched people like my brother. And look, I'm not genetically gifted at all. I have their genetics. Myself and my youngest brother, who's, I want to say Mark is now 53. I'm 62, so he's maybe 53. He looks older than me, you know? As my friends joke, they call me Marilyn in our family. Are you familiar with the Munsters?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Marilyn. That's my buddy started. It's like you don't look like the rest. You know, whenever I go anywhere with Mark, we're really good friends, and I'm always at his house. He goes, "This is my older brother, Vinny," and people look at him and look at me and look at him as like different parents, half brother. Nope, same parents, same everything.
Well, I don't know if this is all going to be disproved or poo-pooed later in life, but you look at somebody like Tom Brady, who's so careful
Hmm.
about his diet and eating anti-inflammatory foods. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but it does seem to keep people looking young.
Tom Brady is eating like we ate when I was a kid. That's all, TB 13 and all that kind of stuff. It was a TB 12. What was his number? 12? TB 12. That whole diet thing that he's making it's basically NSNG in a weird sort of way. Of course, there's powders and potions. I guarantee you, Tom is not drinking his powders and potions. He's eating meat. He's eating vegetables. And some guy came in there and said, "We're doing this," and he's making a gazillion bucks, right? And the
Well, I
one thing
try.
I haven't done, go
Tell
on.
me. Go ahead.
I, I've never, with NSNG, I've never put out powders and potions saying that you need this to be healthy. And you're going, wait a minute, then you have a vitamin company. I've never once said on this show or anybody else's show, you need my products to be healthy. All you have to do is eat healthy. Period. Period.
And obviously, now what we're learning is that processed foods are an issue and a carcinogen, and
Yeah.
that the basic way that you said when you ate when you were kids, that's just eating real food, like eating food, like as you said last time I did your show, with one ingredient. I made one of Tom Brady's recipes, and it was ice cream, but with avocado. So it was just,
Right.
stuff that it's avocado, it's some cocoa powder, some ice, it's a frozen banana. Boom, you got ice cream.
Yeah. Much better than the crap they put in ice cream when you go to the store. Right. I'd rather see your kids have that as a treat than anything else. So you're doing good by doing that.
I try, but the state fair in Arizona has just opened, and they actually have like a fried chicken sandwich with Captain Crunch on it. It's churros, it's fried Oreos, it's funnel cake with whipped cream, and it's very hard to be the mom that packed the cuties in her purse for the kids to eat.
Right. Well, look, I always say put life into living. The state fair is only around what, once a year, once every couple of years or something like
Once a
that?
year?
Yeah. If you go to the state fair one day, once a year, and your kids want to have funnel cake with cream on it, do it. They want to have the cotton candy, whatever they want to do. You know what? Today is your day. Go do what you want to do. But that's one day. That doesn't make, one of my original sayings, and the internet picked it up. I think I'm in the Urban Dictionary for 4 or 5 different things, but one of them is it doesn't matter what you eat between Christmas and New Year's. It's what you eat between New Year's and Christmas that counts. Nothing one day is going to hurt you. If you have a birthday, a celebration, whatever it is, you do it. Just go do it and then go back to the way you were eating before. The problem is we've turned everything into a thing. People go, "Oh, I can't understand it. Every winter I get fat." It's like, yeah, we start with a candy holiday, Halloween, and then we go right into a pie holiday, and then we go right into a cake holiday, and then we end up with a drinking holiday. And if you live in New Orleans, we go right into Mardi Gras, which is a king cake eating holiday, and it just never ends.
Well, of course, then you got Valentine's Day, that's a chocolate holiday.
Yeah. So you got to pick and choose. You can't make everything a thing, right?
No, not
And that's
unless you
how,
wanna take Dexatrim and smoke the Benson Hedges menthol ultra lights and then use your conch shell as an ashtray.
yeah. And that's the way I do it. I use my conch shell as a girlfriend.
I could see that.
Ugh.
Yeah, you guys were close.
I was the gay poster child when that came out, and the guy that knocked me off of that pedestal was because that was in West Hollywood too. That poster, and it went in magazine. It was around the world. It literally was a big deal. I was like 30 when that was done. I was not young, and a young guy named Marky Mark came out with a Calvin Klein ad, and that became the big thing. And I was like, thank God, thank you, Marky Mark. And that's now Mark Wahlberg. He became the new poster child for a gay community, and I was not getting catcalls anymore. Yeah,
So he knocked you off of your pedestal, but then
yeah, my gay pedestal. Yeah,
that's right, you were knocked right off, but then you didn't take
boom.
over the Funky Bunch.
No, I called up the Funky Bunch, and they said, "Can you sing?" And I said, "I can barely speak." And they said, "Well, we're good." And although later in life, I became friends with. Do you know who Vinnie Guadagnino is?
No.
He was on Jersey Shore.
Yes!
Yeah, yeah. He's a big fan of mine, and I didn't know that. But yeah, we met once. We met somewhere once at the Adam Carolla show, and when I was leaving and he was coming in, it was like a double Vinny day. And he came over. He goes, "Man, I'm a big fan." I was like, "You don't have to say that." He goes, "No, no, I listened to the podcast. I love Anna. I love you." It's like, all right. And then we became buddies after that, based on one meeting, just like you and me.
But have you ever met the situation?
No. And when I was writing my book with Dean Laurie, we would stop, we would take breaks, and we would do two things during the writing break. We would watch the Shakira video, Shakira, Shakira, and or we would talk about the situation. And I've never seen the Jersey Shore, but we would go, okay, how do you think he got the name The Situation? And I would say, well, Dean, I'm Italian. And we always give someone the name like, if they call me Vinny Kneecaps, that means that, either I broke my own kneecap or I broke someone else's kneecap. And you become that thing, right? Like think of the Sopranos, Big Pussy. That character became that based on something, right? He probably walked into the room every day and go, "Hey guys, here's the situation." So at some point, Italians go, "Here comes the situation." But then I learned later, he would lift his shirt up and he had great abs, and he would go, "This is the situation right here. This is why the chicks." So we learned why, but yeah,
Well, they probably
that's
cut out
that's
all
how
the
that.
ramen.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how the situation became the situation, folks. Teresa Strasser has a book, and you guys want that book, and you want it badly. It's called Making It Home. Um, I'm going to be honest. It's like, she's sitting there. The book is all about her and her dad grieving over a year of Little League Baseball. They're not grieving about Little League Baseball. Teresa lost her brother, and the father lost his son. And Teresa's mom is no longer around. She passed. And Teresa gets down and dirty. And I got to tell you, I did not expect to like this book, but it's a page turner. You can't put it down. I'm not just saying that because she's on the other mic. Go read Making It Home. It's a wonderful book. Teresa, is there some place they can find you in the book and everything else?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for the very kind words. Thank you for having me back on your show. And yeah, you can find it on Amazon or wherever you find books, Making It Home. And I'm on social media, Teresa Strasser, Teresa No H.
Yeah, she spells it the wrong way. You know what to do with me. We all go shopping on Amazon. I have a movie that's out only exclusively on Amazon right now, Dirty Keto. And don't just watch it, rate it, review it, do all the stuff. Now, if you don't like the movie, don't rate it and review it. Just watch it and then hate it in silence.
Fair.
And we'll do it that way. Yeah. So we talked about this woman during the show, even though Teresa won't be able to hear the song for some odd reason. On behalf of Teresa Strasser, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with Shakira. Hips don't lie.